Luxury skincare companies spend billions convincing us that better skin lives behind the doors of Sephora. But after investigating hundreds of formulations, I started noticing something strange. Some of the smartest products weren't sitting under luxury lighting, wrapped in gold packaging, photographed next to marble countertops. They were sitting on the shelves at Walgreens, under fluorescent lights, next to the cotton rounds and the cold medicine. So I ran an experiment. Take 10 of Sephora's biggest bestsellers, the products every beauty editor has featured at least once, and compare them against the drugstore products dermatologists reach for instead when nobody's filming. Not the price tag, the actual formula, the clinical history behind it, and hundreds of reviews from people who tried both sides of each pair and wrote down exactly what happened on their skin. I went into this expecting Walgreens to lose almost every time. That's usually how this goes. It didn't. 10 products. Starting with number 10. Most people assume a drugstore knockoff copies the label and stops there. Number 10 is where that assumption falls apart a little. The Walgreens Gentle Cleanser. Around $11. Walgreens built this one to sit directly against Youth to the People's Superfood Antioxidant Cleanser, a cult favorite at Sephora that runs close to $40, centered on kale, spinach, and green tea extract. The kind of ingredient list that sounds more like a smoothie than a skincare product. Printing kale extract on a label costs almost nothing. The real question was whether the actual experience of using the product held up the same way. It mostly does. Both formulas lean on the same antioxidant-rich plant extracts. Both use gentle surfactants that don't strip the skin during a normal cleanse. Where they split is fragrance. The Walgreens version carries a noticeably stronger scent, one several people who've tried both describe as borderline overwhelming on first use, especially against the almost undetectable finish of the original. One important difference before you switch: skin gets more reactive to fragrance with age, not less. And that's exactly the kind of detail that never makes it onto a bestseller list. For everyone else, you're paying nearly $30 more largely for a lighter scent and a nicer bottle sitting on the counter. The cleansing itself, the part actually touching your skin, is functionally the same. That was one. I expected the next 9 to look nothing like it. Some of them didn't. Sol de Janeiro's Bum Bum Cream generates more repeat purchases than almost anything else Sephora sells. So when I found out Walgreens built a body butter specifically to compete with it, my first thought was, there's no way this gets close. Number 9. The Walgreens Body Butter Firming Cream. Around $23. Sol de Janeiro's identity was built almost entirely around one thing: a signature scent people describe as genuinely addictive, the kind you catch on someone in an elevator and immediately want to ask about. Walgreens didn't even try to copy that scent. That was the first thing that surprised me. What it copied instead were the actual hydrators underneath: coconut oil, shea-derived butters, and a caffeine-adjacent extract that mirrors the guarana in the original formula. Once it's actually on skin, absorbed and settled after a few minutes, the texture lands remarkably close to the real thing. For fairness, if you're buying the luxury version for that smell specifically, nothing here replicates it. That fragrance is proprietary, and no amount of formula matching changes that. But if you're buying it for what it actually does to your skin, the softness, the smoothing across the thighs and arms, these two perform closer to each other than either brand would probably like you to know. $15. That's the entire price gap on number 8, and it might be the simplest comparison on this whole list. Walgreens Super Invisible SPF 40. Built to sit directly against Supergoop's Unseen Sunscreen SPF 40, the product that basically invented the invisible, no white cast sunscreen category and turned Supergoop into a $40 staple at every Sephora checkout counter. Both formulas disappear on skin the same way. Both are weightless, oil-free, designed to sit invisibly under makeup. The trick isn't some proprietary secret. It's particle size and a silicone-based finish, and both use chemical filters rather than a mineral base, which is why neither leaves a chalky cast behind. The trade-off? Supergoop has more shade-specific formulations and a longer track record across a wider range of skin tones. If you've already found your exact match, switching for its own sake isn't worth it. But if you haven't tried either yet, there's a $25 gap here for the same invisible texture doing the same job under the sun. Okay, that's 3 in a row now that held up better than they should have. At this point, I started wondering if this was actually a pattern instead of a coincidence, and the next product is the one that convinced me. When I lined up the ingredient list for the Walgreens BHA liquid exfoliant against one of the most famous premium exfoliants in skincare, a 2% salicylic acid liquid that built its entire reputation on pore clearing and gentle nightly exfoliation, I expected obvious differences. I didn't really find them. Both are 2% salicylic acid, formulated at a pH low enough to actually exfoliate, but not so low it burns. Saying the ingredients are identical would be dishonest. Concentration, pH, and the solvent system all shape how a formula actually behaves, and none of that is published for either product. What I can say is this: the two lists are remarkably similar. Close enough that people who've used both back-to-back report almost no difference in how their skin responds. Two ingredients near the bottom are simply swapped in order, which is common when a formula is engineered to sit close to an existing one without duplicating it outright. This is the closest match on the entire list, and it's the moment I stopped assuming Walgreens was the exception here and started assuming the opposite. What actually makes Kiehl's Ultra Facial Cream worth $40 to the people who swear by it? Mostly one thing: lightweight hydration that doesn't feel greasy and doesn't ask you to think too hard about your morning routine. That single promise, more than any one ingredient, is what kept it on so many bathroom counters for decades. Number 6. The Walgreens Moisturizing Facial Cream, around $13, built around that exact same promise. It leans on similar humectants and emollients, and when people run the two ingredient lists side by side, they consistently share the clear majority of what's actually in them. Here's the catch: Kiehl's carries decades of dermatologist familiarity, and its slightly richer feel is genuinely preferred by some very dry skin types. If your skin sits on the drier end, that gap might be worth it to you. For normal to combination skin, this is one of the more convincing swaps on the list. By this point, I'd stopped being surprised every time. What I hadn't expected was for the pattern to hold on something as emotional as a lip product. A lot of people assume Laneage's cult status comes from performance alone. It doesn't. A huge part of it is the scent, and that's exactly where this comparison gets interesting. Number 5, the Walgreens Hydrating Lip Mask, around $10, built to answer Laneage's lip sleeping mask, arguably the single most repurchased lip product sold at Sephora, the one that turned sleeping mask into its own category of skincare entirely. The original leans on a berry fruit complex, shea butter, and a signature scent that's become part of its identity almost as much as the product itself. Walgreens didn't chase that scent. It chased the mechanism instead, an occlusive, wax-based barrier meant to lock moisture into lips overnight. Here's where fragrance changes everything. Some people who've tried both side by side report the Walgreens version feels slightly waxier and sits more on top of the lips rather than sinking in, and a few noted mild irritation at the lip border after extended wear. That's a real difference, and it's the reason I wouldn't call this an even trade for everyone. But for the core job, locking in moisture overnight at 1/10 of the price, enough people report genuinely similar results that it's hard to dismiss. Number 4 flips the fragrance argument entirely, and it's worth pausing on why. Glow Recipes Watermelon Glow AHA Night Treatment, a Sephora exclusive bestseller built on glycolic and lactic acid, niacinamide, and hyaluronic acid, usually runs around $40. Walgreens compares its watermelon AHA mask, around $19, directly against it, and the two share a surprising number of core actives, the same category of AHAs actually doing the exfoliating work. The same brightening ingredient, similar hydrators underneath. Where they diverge is texture and scent. The original leans hard into an actual watermelon fragrance and a thick, jelly-like texture you can feel jiggle in the jar before you even open it. The Walgreens version is thinner and, according to several people who've tried it, has almost no discernible scent despite technically listing fragrance on the label. If that watermelon experience is part of what you're paying for, the drugstore version simply doesn't deliver it, no matter how close the actives are underneath. But if what you actually want is the exfoliation itself and the morning glow that follows. Several people who've used both back-to-back reported comparable next morning texture improvements at roughly half the price for a similar amount of product. This is the one dermatologists actually reach for themselves, and it isn't even trying to be a moisturizer. La Roche-Posay Cicaplast Balm B5, around $15, isn't a Walgreens private label product at all. It's a French pharmacy staple sold at Walgreens that keeps surfacing as the honest answer to SkinFix's Barrier Plus Triple Lipid Peptide Cream, a Sephora bestseller running closer to $55, structured around a patented lipid complex meant to replenish ceramides and fatty acids in the skin barrier. Cicaplast was never meant to compete on that ground, and it isn't marketed that way even by its own brand. It's a skin recovery balm dermatologists reach for to calm compromised, irritated, or overworked skin, built on panthenol, shea butter, and Centella asiatica, repair instead of firming or plumping. Worth flagging, if what you specifically want is SkinFix's peptide-forward anti-aging positioning, Cicaplast isn't trying to be that. It's solving a different problem entirely. But for actual barrier recovery, the redness, the tightness, the skin that just feels overworked after a long week, this $15 balm has earned more dermatologist trust than most $50 barrier creams on the market today. Tatcha built an entire following on how the water cream feels on skin. Vanicream was built to have almost no feel at all, and for a specific kind of skin, that's the whole point. Number 2. Vanicream Moisturizing Cream, around $12, against Tatcha's The Water Cream, a genuine Sephora fixture built on Japanese botanicals and a gel cream texture, usually priced around $70 for a modest jar. Tatcha is genuinely well formulated, and its blend of green tea, rice, and algae carries real antioxidant backing that's earned it a loyal following, especially among combination skin types who dislike anything heavy. Vanicream isn't trying to compete on that front, and it never has been. It has no fragrance, no dyes, none of the common irritants, and it's frequently recommended for patients with extremely sensitive skin and compromised barriers, specifically because there's nothing left in it to react to. To be fair, if your skin loves Tatcha's texture and tolerates fragrance just fine, there's no reason to switch. This isn't the formula matching win BHA was, but for the driest, most reactive skin types. The ones who've tried nearly everything and still react to something, the shorter ingredient list keeps winning. Not because it's fancier, because there's less in it that could go wrong. Then I found the product that changed the direction of this entire video. Number 1. Differin Gel, 0.1% adapalene. Most people spend around $90 on a box of peel pads chasing smoother-looking skin this week. Differin was never trying to compete with that. This wasn't designed to compete with luxury skincare. It was designed as a prescription medication for acne, and it stayed prescription only in the United States for 20 years before the FDA finally approved it for over-the-counter sale in 2016. It works by speeding up cell turnover at the cellular level, not exfoliating the surface the way a peel does, but genuinely changing how skin renews itself over time. That's a completely different mechanism, and it's the reason dermatologists reach for it when the actual goal isn't smoother skin by Friday, but noticeably fewer fine lines over the next several years. It remained prescription only for 2 decades before regulators determined it could be used safely without a doctor's supervision. It isn't gentle, and nobody should pretend otherwise. Expect some dryness and peeling in the first few weeks as skin adjusts and daily sun protection becomes non-negotiable while using it. This isn't a try-it-once product. It takes months to see what it's actually capable of. It's currently priced under $20 for the classic gel, sitting in the same aisle as the cotton rounds and the aspirin, a prescription-strength retinoid, sold without a prescription that most people walk straight past because the box looks like medicine instead of luxury. And that's exactly why it changes this conversation. Every other product on this list is a comparison. This one isn't. Nobody photographs it for a shelfie. Nobody unboxes it on camera. It just works. Quietly, in the background, for the people who found it. Luxury skincare made us believe effectiveness lives in luxury stores, behind glass counters, under warm lighting, with someone in a white coat handing you a sample. It doesn't. Sometimes it's sitting 3 feet from the pharmacy counter in a $5 tube nobody stops to read the box on. Drop in the comments, which of these are you already using? And which one are you rethinking after this video?